Biggest story in tech this week isn't even that Elon Musk is a trillionaire or the ridiculousness of the SpaceX valuation. It's about Anthropic and the government's crackdown on a new AI model that they tried to release and then had to pull. So Anthropic is a big AI company. They do Claude. They're the leader in the enterprise market, which means companies and governments think their model is the best and use it the most. They had a new model called Mythos that they brought up earlier this year, but they didn't release it. They said it was too powerful. Mythos, the new model, could pinpoint security gaps in like the cybersecurity of companies and governments with such precision and then like play against those, like work against those in line with like the most talented hackers in the world. And so Anthropic was like, that's too powerful for us to release. So we need to give like companies and governments a head start so that they can repair these holes that our new system is going to be able to autonomously attack. And so they started a Project Glasswing, 50 companies at first, now it's over 200 that got access to that model and tried to repair their holes. They've repaired like 10,000 potential errors, data breaches that this new model could exploit. Now, earlier this week, or last week, they released Fable, which is the consumer version of Mythos. Now, what do I mean by that? Like, they're not going to release Mythos to the public. The AI models that people use, the average person might use, are security guarded. There's like certain things that you can't ask it to do. Those things largely being like bioweapon questions, security hacking stuff that it's gonna block you before you're able to utilize it to its like full extent. Like what Mythos is, Fable is like the like child-locked version of it. But the government and the Commerce Department received word from Andy Jassy, who's head of Amazon. He's the CEO of Amazon. Amazon, for unclear reasons, had tested the new Fable model that was released to consumers for just today and found that it had the ability to be jailbroken, like that you could bypass the security safeguards and use it to its full capacity in a way that could allow people to hack, to be a national security risk, to be a risk to a variety of companies if the wrong person did something. And so the government clamped down, the Commerce Department, after hearing that, with export controls. Now, export-import controls, you're like, what does AI have to do with that? Well, the government has constantly used export-import controls to regulate technology. They did it in the Cold War. They did it as recently as 2022 with AI because they limited the ability of companies in America to sell chips, like the GPUs that go into data centers, like that power AI models that NVIDIA, the big company, makes, like the processing, the inputs for AI. They limited that to be able to go to China for national security reasons. This is the first time, though, that they're doing it on a fully like consumer. It's a product that isn't necessarily exported. But what the government did is said, okay, well, foreign nationals abroad, at home, even those that work for Anthropic, cannot use the software. Now, that's clearly designed to be unworkable. Like, how can you prevent, like, are people supposed to go on to Claude or Anthropic or something and like upload their birth certificate or like proof of citizenship? Impossible to work on. So Anthropic just pulled the model and was like, okay, well, we have to work on this until it is fixed. But all that the government said was that you need to, quote, fix the code. There's a jailbreak in it somewhere, we believe. You've got to fix it, impose additional safeguards. And so now there's like a stalemate. They can't release it. I don't know how they're going to fix it or anything. I mean, I'm not a tech person, so like I wouldn't know how to fix it anyway. But the broader thing is that this is the first time that the government has clamped down on this fully functional, like for consumer usage product of AI. And it just also reflects that Anthropic is probably, of the AI companies, one of the more responsible. They have like a person in charge of AI ethics and philosophy. They push back on the government's attempts to use it for autonomous weapons or surveillance, but they've attracted a lot of like tension with the government because of that. So the question is like, is this jailbreak genuinely concerning? Because I think Mythos is such a powerful model and other companies have expressed that it's concerning. Maybe it is if you can actually jailbreak it. But also, could this just be retribution by the government because they want to use the software for something else, like the Eye of Sauron, like on, am I using that right? I don't actually know. On like Anthropic. And so this is a much bigger story to me than the ridiculous SpaceX valuation, which is just vibes of $1 trillion. Mind you, now it is important that Elon Musk could lose $1 trillion and still be the richest man in the world. That's shocking, and that's a concentration of wealth and I don't say this lightly, that I don't think we've ever seen before, but in human history. But the bigger story is that the AI models are getting so powerful that they present severe security breaches if they are in the wrong hands. Now, the double-edged sword of that is that these American companies or Western companies are not the only people innovating in AI. So are other governments. So are other people. Specifically, China has a robust AI industry that's largely funded and structured by the government. And so limitations on the AI here affect this broader new Cold War, genuinely, that is brewing between different forces in terms of their AI capabilities. And so it just sparks a lot of questions, a lot of thought, a lot of consideration. But the far bigger story in the world today is that this is the first time the government has cracked down using export controls that they have historically used for technology on a consumer AI model that was released to consumers, and that it had to be pulled. And so talk about a big stick.